They tried to take me out when I was in prison one time over breakfast. Let me explain this one. So when I was on Haynesville Camp 17 towards the end of my prison sentence, one of the best jobs you could get on that road camp was the kitchen cook / librarian job. I'm not sure why they merged those two positions because they were totally opposite of each other in some ways, though they both feed you. But nonetheless, that was the job I got, and I was grateful. I was able to politic. My homeboy was one of the other cooks. He got me in there, but there was only one issue. I never cooked breakfast for 200 people or whatever was on the camp at the time. I barely cooked breakfast for myself. Not to mention I had been locked up at the time for over 15 years. My skills was lacking, and I had worked in the kitchen, but I always worked in the tray room or on the line serving, prep cook at best, which means I was cutting up cabbage and carrots. I ain't know how to cook nothing. But somehow I got this job. And this job was cool, man. I got to get up every morning before the rest of the prison, like 3 in the morning, get into the kitchen. I was by myself. It was a real minimal road camp. The only thing that was there with me was the mice and the ghosts. That's a whole nother story. We're going to talk about that another time. And one of the COs that was oftentimes asleep in there unless I needed something out of one of the pantries or whatever. So anyways, they gave me this job and they trained me. Like, they had somebody train me for like 3 days. That was it. And my homeboy trained me. He was the lunchtime cook, and he was glad I got the breakfast job because he didn't have to get up at 3 in the morning. And I also think he was trying to train me extremely fast because he didn't want to keep getting up at 3 in the morning. And I get that, and I respect that. And he had told me if I got into some trouble, just call for him, have the guard come wake him up, come save me. But man, pride, it was an issue for me back then, believe it or not, or at least in this moment, I would say. And this morning, the first morning that I was by myself in the kitchen, I was told to cook biscuits and gravy. Let me tell you something. I watched them cook it, but I never went through the process of it. And again, it's for 200 plus people, right? No, well, 200, 196, I think. Both dorms had 94, something like that. But it was just a crazy situation, man. You understand what I'm saying? It was a situation, I think my math is off, by the way, but it was a situation where I had an opportunity to prove myself, to cook breakfast and show people that I was worthy of the opportunity, man. And before you knew it, halfway into the meal, I was panicking and scrambling. And no, I'm not talking about eggs. The biscuit gravy was like water and my biscuits was like hockey pucks. And I had waited too late to get help and call my homeboy. And before I knew it, man, the guard was in there trying to save me. He was like, yo, try to add this. He didn't know what he was talking about either. And before I knew it after that, it was breakfast call. When I put that gravy out there, it was so watery, man. That joint was sloshing to and fro, and I felt so bad. I even tried to tell the guards, like, yo, can we replace it with cereal, do something, man? I messed up, and they weren't having it. And I believe, as I would find out later on, they were trying to get me out of that position already anyways because they didn't want me to have it. But as each man came and got his breakfast tray, first thing in the morning, I stood there next to the line as the cooks often did. I didn't duck the wreck or the smoke. It was what it was. I was the cook, and part of my job was to monitor the line and make sure that if they needed anything to be refilled, I would be right there to let them know where to grab the next pan from. And man, when they were coming through grabbing them trays, they were giving it to me. Nobody was like overly disrespectful. Like nobody was calling me out my name because I had like decent respect. But yo, grown men waking up at 6 o'clock in the prison, like nobody's scared of me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like people's angry. They want to eat. And dudes was gritting on me like, oh, one dude was like, yo, we going to have to fight over this. Like, and I believed him. I felt that, right? And of course, well, you wouldn't know it, but we didn't end up getting in a fight. But man, every single man that came through there, man, they had something to say. And I was the talk of the prison, the road camp for like the next 2-3 days, man. Moral of the story is, don't do things in prison that could impact others. I didn't think that cooking breakfast was going to be that detrimental. I didn't know I could mess it up the way that I did. And I didn't know that dudes would be calling me out at 6:30 in the morning on the road camp or whatever. But they were. We didn't get into it. Gratefully, you know what I'm saying? We were able to talk, squash it out. I wasn't trying to get nothing into my bid. And they was going home, too. Everybody on that camp was short. So, hey, we got through that. I never want to be a breakfast cook ever again, you know what I'm saying, unless I'm cooking for the fam. But that's just a memory that I have from being in the kitchen, man. And the one time, believe it or not, from being on level 4s, level 3s, all that was the one time where I felt like it was directly aimed at me, like for real, on the road camp. And by the way, side note, if y'all have worked your way down from a high level to a low level, did you get into more things on the low levels and the high levels? Just wondering. Peace. Oh, and stay free.